Hello, lifers, and welcome to another episode of Because Life Can Be a Niche podcast. Thank you so much for riding with us. If you're listening, wherever you get your podcast, thank you for listening. And if you are watching right now, especially on the YouTube channel, take a moment right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications, and share it with someone. It really helps us out, and we appreciate it. You guys know how we always start the show off with a tea of the episode, but we're going to do it a little different today because the tea is going to be whatever you want your tea to be. I happen to be drinking on one of my favorites, Paris, and I told you guys it's one of my favorite teas, but we're talking about love today. So let your tea be whatever you love, whatever you enjoy the most. Let that be your tea. So let's go ahead. You know how to follow us at Katie Bryant Wright, social media. We've said it enough times. I think if you're new, welcome into the living room. Love having new people join, but we're just going to get into the topic for today, which is self-love. And I mean, I know we're right on the weekend of Valentine's Day, but really this has nothing to do with Valentine's Day. It just happens to be in our faces so much, all the hearts and the love, the commercials and all that stuff. So it's relevant to talk about it right now, but self-love is something that's 365 days out of the year. And it definitely goes beyond any type of commercialized day like Valentine's Day. So let's talk about that for a little bit, about what self-love is to me and how I came to get to the point where I love myself above all outside things that may be coming my way or trying to get into my mind or into my head, and why it's so important for all of us to practice loving ourselves. And it kind of sounds like a cliche because And I'm guilty because I'm quick to throw a post up on Instagram, you know, self-love is the best love, or, you know, love yourself first. And it sounds, I mean, you hear it enough times, it sounds kind of empty. Like, okay, all right, so yeah, I love myself. So yes, self-love, I'm practicing that. But if you really sit down with it and sit down in it for a minute, self-love is about so much more than just some hashtags or something that you can throw out there and everybody just say, oh yeah, love yourself. I mean, just to be real and to be honest, you know, I first learned about self-love from my grandmother. And this was many moons ago. I was in high school, and before the term, you know, was popular. She didn't even call it self-love because I don't even know if people were using those terms then. And if so, I don't remember. I guess you had to go to a counselor or a therapist to hear them. But now, you know, that's all the rage is to say, oh, self-love, self-care. But my grandmother, and she was a real, like, grandmother. Not that grandmothers today aren't real, but I'm talking about gray hair, retired, you know, might have had some stray cats coming up to the house to eat whatever scraps she left out for them. I mean, cook everything grandmother. Like, nowadays, grandmothers are so much younger. So that's why I said she was like a real grandmother. Grandmother like the kind I grew up with. Now, our parents are just younger. They look younger. They are, you know, taking care of themselves differently. So they dress different. Even my mom is 73. But she's like, we call her Mimi. I mean, she does not look like a grandmother like my granny did. My granny was you know, if you had a picture of what would a grandmother look like in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, it would be her and in that generation. And she was definitely, she was born in 1912. And she was definitely a wise woman, just a soul full of love and thoughtfulness, but also just wise. And so anyway, let me get to the story, because I can just talk about my grandmother and who she was. That could be a whole episode. But I remember when I was in high school and I was dating this guy that I just thought was the end all be all. And then, you know, in high school, we're so young, and people call it puppy love, but you couldn't tell me I was not in love. I mean, I didn't know, it wasn't no puppies about it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be my husband. I just love this man. And I thought he loved me too. I think he did, but he was a guy and he was young and we were in high school. I mean, what you expect? And we had a spat. I'm sure he had been seeing someone else, you know, high school drama, so much drama in high school. And we broke up. And I was so sad and like just down the dumps. And I remember going over to her house and I was sitting on the couch and she was sitting in her recliner chair. And she was just sitting there looking, and I was like, it was in the fall. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was just like, you know, I'm so sad, you know, we're not together anymore. And, you know, I'm from a small town, so anybody watching this probably knows who I'm talking about. If he's watching, he's probably like, how are you going to be talking about me like that? But, I mean, we're grown, we're friends, but I was just crushed. And I experienced that a lot, you know, younger, because you feel everything so deeply when you're young and you think you're in love and you just, everything is just like hitting you like a ton of bricks. And so I, you know, heard he was, you know, seeing somebody else, he was talking to somebody else or whatever. At the time, I mean, we were kids, so what, maybe calling somebody else on the phone, I don't know. But my grandmother told me, she looked at me and I looked like I felt, like people say, I don't look like what I've been through. I looked just like what I had been through, like a teenage heartbreak, just tore up from the floor up. And she looked at me, you know, she gave it some thought, because she was very careful in her words, even though she could have just said it like she wanted to say it and drop it on out there. She was like, you know, she said, you will never, somebody at the door, but I'm gonna keep recording, because I hope one of the kids actually go answer the door so I don't have to stop recording. So what she told me was, as long as you are down in the dumps and looking like you've lost everything, no man is going to want you. He's not going to be attracted to that. You know, you need to fix yourself up. And I remember thinking, like, really? I mean, what you trying to, you know, what you mean? She's like, your hair not done, you know, you look like you're just down and dumps. No man wants that. No man wants a woman who is not taking care of herself and looks like she doesn't need him. Men are attracted to women who have themselves together and aren't looking for something from them. And, you know, she was basically talking about self-love. And I remember she went in her, like she had this, like a little curio or something like that. It was wooden, and it sat next to, she would sit water on. It's about that wide around, like maybe 8 inches in diameter. And it was sat next to her recliner chair. And she went in there. She kept, you know, her insurance policy stuff and like a checkbook, maybe, because she didn't write many checks, but she had a checkbook in there. So if ever she needed to do something, she could just turn in that chair and pull everything out. And my grandmother had all the church fans. Like, I know it was about 30. I don't even know how. I'm from a small town. We had a small membership at my church. I don't even know what we did in the summer, because all the church fans seemed to be in this little thing that my grandmama had by her chair. But she pulled out all these church fans and she started, you know, peeling the fans back. You know, they had John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. or, you know, the local funeral home. All the church fans pretty much had the same stuff. But when she pulled it back, there was money in between these church fans. And she had, you know, that's how grandmamas, y'all, that's what I'm talking about, back in the day, grandmamas used to have stashes of money all over the house in old purses and just, you know, stored away somewhere. I mean, when she died, we found over like thousands of dollars just around the house, just tucked away and stuff. But she was a child of depression, so we get it why she used to, you know, have something stashed back in addition to having bank accounts. But anyway, I digress. She pulled these fans out and, you know, had hundreds and $50 bills and, you know, 20s and 10s and 5s. And she pulled out $100 bill. And she put her fans, you know, put them back up, all of them back in the little thing. And she said, go fix yourself up. Get your hair appointment. Go buy yourself an outfit. Do your nails. And put your lipstick on. And you walk through that school. You go back to that schoolhouse. And you hold your head high like ain't nothing happened. And don't pay attention at all to this man or, you know, person. He wasn't no man, I guess. But, you know, you walk around there. And if he doesn't wise up, somebody else will. And I was like, okay. And I did. I went and got my hair done. And back then, y'all, everything was so inexpensive. $100 can go a long way for a child in high school. As long as it's a Cato's and whatever, goodies. I don't know what all I went and did, but I called my hairdresser and, you know, she pressed my hair and I got my hair done. I bought a Fashion Fair lipstick. I'll never forget it. I remember buying a new tube of Fashion Fair lipstick. And I think, I want to say it was like $13. It was not, you know, expensive at all, but I had my little brand new Fashion Fair color, and I went to Cato's and I bought this outfit. I might have spent $10 or $12 on, and I bought some new earrings. I couldn't wait for Monday because my grandmother and I had this conversation on a Friday, and I got all this stuff done on Saturday. So Monday I walked in with some jumpsuit. It was some kind of paisley. It was brown and black because it was fall, but it was like a, you know, like a jumpsuit kind of thing. And I had a black turtleneck on under it, similar to this, but black. And it was like all these paisley, you know, mock-ups. It was the 80s. So, you know, there you go. I'm sure it was some Prince inspired paisley get up. Everything in the 80s was a hot mess to me. But, you know, some people like it. I'm like, I don't miss the fashion at all. And I had my hair done and it was like, you know, she did the best to layer it, you know, whatever, because I had a press and curl. I didn't have, you know, a relaxer or anything like that. And my hair was done. I polished my nails because I didn't, you know, there was no such thing as girls going to get manicures. I mean, it's something you might have done for prom only. And this was this was pre-prom time for me. It was way before prom, so I didn't even do that. And I got to school, and this young man immediately noticed that there was something different about what he saw the week before than what he saw on Monday. And in my mind, I had to toughen up and get in my head what my grandmother said. If he doesn't see you, if he doesn't notice you, someone else will. And once you get that in your head and you're okay with that, like that's his loss. And that's what she even said. She's like, hey, it's on him. If he doesn't see you looking nice and, you know, still being a lady, you know, you don't have to go curse him out or try to fight him or do any of that. Just move on, but dress up and look good while you're doing it. So, and it worked. It wasn't even by lunchtime we were back together, but it was high school kiddie stuff anyway. But by lunchtime we were back together, but I never forgot that. I never let that moment of reality from my granny leave my spirit. Because what I saw, what I learned in that moment with a little high school situation, because that's what it was. But I learned then, people treat you as well as you treat yourself. And I was just, walking around that week that we weren't together, looking crazy, looking sad and just distraught. And, I'm sure I was combing my hair because I knew how to go out, but I wasn't myself. So I didn't have the confidence going into it, because every day I was wondering, is he going to talk to me today? What is happening? Who is he talking to? I was so worried and focused on what he had going on, or what this other young lady that he was talking to had going on, that I lost me in worrying about that, as opposed to looking at me like, well, hey, fix up and move on. And he can either catch up or miss out. And that's what I learned from my grandmother. That was such a powerful lesson, because sure, it was kitty puppy love. Maybe we would have gotten back together anyway. I don't know. But I'm going to say the way I handle myself definitely played a role in that, because not only did he notice, like my grandmother said, other people are going to notice too, and they did. And I carried that with me even into my adult life. And, when I would go through breakups and be in relationships with guys, and just, you thinking, oh, it's just so wonderful. And that's the worst feeling in the world, when you're really into someone and you break up. And it's the worst feeling in the world, because it's heartache. I don't like heartache, y'all. I'm just going to tell you. I don't like the way it feels. But who does? But I tried my darndest to avoid heartache at all costs. That's a whole nother episode on how I managed for quite a while to do that. But it wasn't even healthy. I wouldn't advise it. And I still learned from it. And I still had to go through heartache to figure out, hey, this was totally wrong. You did this all wrong. But anyway, another episode for another day. But even in my adulthood, when I would go through a breakup, I started doing what a lot of us do. You hit the gym, you start, if you're not already running, you start running, or you start walking, or you start, you go out, you might even go out and buy a new wardrobe, you may cut your hair, you do something cathartic to like recover from that. And all of that is a form of self-love, because yeah, you may be going through and reacting to the relationship or the loss of the situationship, whatever it was. You may be going through that, and so folks like, oh well, you can tell that, yeah, she just got divorced, look how much weight she lost, kind of thing. But it's a cathartic thing, but it's cathartic thing. Lord, get my mouth straight. But it's also a renewal. It's almost like when you are with someone and you become inseparable, and it's just the two of you going through life, doing life or whatever. When one of you severs that tie, when you sever that relationship, it's like, what do I do now? Oh, well, the only thing I can do is like redo me, because I've just become something, maybe I wasn't working as hard. Maybe I wasn't doing such and such. And that's another conversation too, because I also learned that if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And that is something that I learned going through my divorce. So, all those breakups to say, it would be like a metamorphosis, like, let me go out and buy a new outfit. Let me get a new hairstyle. Let me get some color in my hair. Well, I carried that with me until I got married. And when I got married, it was a difference. When you're going through things in relationships and you're single and you're younger, it's not, it's a different type of process that you have to kind of work yourself through. It's not like dating. It's more serious. That for me, it was children involved. And I allowed myself to I was so sucked up and wrapped up in trying to hold things together as a mom of 2 kids who were 18 months apart. And I was drained and exhausted and tired. So I let myself go. And I was resentful of him because he was just living and going to the gym and taking care of himself. And I saw Michelle Obama said this in her, in the documentary, in Becoming, that, you know, she was sitting there stewing at Barack because he had time to go to the gym and he was doing all this stuff. And she was just like, I'm sitting here with these kids and I'm losing myself. Well, instead of getting angry with him for doing that, you know, I'm going to find time and make time to go to the gym. And that's where I was. I saw myself as a young mom and a married woman, resenting him for taking care of himself instead of getting on me like, hey, what your grandmama taught you? You need to take care of yourself and do better about yourself. You do not have to walk around, you know, not having time to go, you know, victimized. Like, oh, I don't have time to go to the hairdresser. I don't have time to this because I'm with the kids. I'm working. I'm doing all these excuses. Again, no self-love whatsoever happening for me in my marriage. I'm like not taking care of and loving myself. My marriage is coming to an end. We're going through a whole bunch of stuff and still not loving myself to the point where I stopped working out. I used to run all the time. I used to work all the time. I was just like, I just got so much. I had so much going on and everything trumped me loving myself and taking care of me. And when it did end and we got divorced, I remember this so vividly. I was at the courthouse that morning when all the paperwork was done and I received my copy of the divorce decree. And I left there, drove from my house to this boot camp where I'd seen for years, I had seen like, you know, flyers and stuff, circulars about it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to try it. And then I like would get it and like try to sign up for like their 6-week specials and all that. And then be so busy and be momming or just, I got so much going on. I never would go. And I knew what I weighed and I knew that was not my ideal weight. I knew my clothes didn't fit anymore. I knew that I was just haggard and I looked haggard. I looked like what I was going through. I looked sad and empty and just worn, slap dab out. I know I did. I look back at the pictures and I'm like, ooh, good. You been through it, ain't you? And so I went straight to that boot camp. I didn't even go by my house. I left that courthouse and went straight to boot camp. And I walked in. I didn't need no 6-week special. I was hoping for a discount, but I didn't get one. I didn't care because I made a decision that day, that moment. I'm divorced. I accept that. I'm not comfortable in my skin. I don't accept that. And I signed up, and I even think I worked out that day, or you know, I think, you know, I think I was told we'll come back this afternoon. I can't even remember. But I remember taking that first step to take care of me. And for me, the work on the inside, I had to do. But I also had to work on the outside. And that was just, that it was going to have to be that way. That's what my situation was. I didn't have my lipstick. I didn't have my new outfit. I didn't have my hair done. But I remember my grandmother, I could just see her in my mind. She was just waving that $100 bill. Like, invest in yourself. Take care of yourself. Do better about yourself. Don't go around here, you know, Fashion Fair, they didn't, I got some MAC lipstick. Fashion Fair was not around. I joined that boot camp, and I'm still there. And I got divorced in 2015. And I started drinking water. I started walking again. And no sooner than I actually joined the gym, one of my girlfriends out in Arizona was like, you know, we should do this half marathon in Vegas. And I said yes. I knew, I was like, a half marathon, that's 13.1 miles. But I was so out of shape and so not taking care of me and just let myself go. But I said yes, because I had to start saying yes to me, yes to self-love. That was self-love. And the first thing I had to do was love the skin that I was in and take better care of myself. I couldn't even run with my kids or play with them without getting winded and going up the stairs. And for some reason, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't realize how much weight I had packed on. And I didn't realize how haggard I was looking until I saw some photos where I was looking back at kids, you know, at photos with the kids. And I looked at one of the pictures and I looked at my stomach and all this. And I'm like, who is that? In the mirror, you see yourself so much every day that you don't see the change. But you look at a photo of yourself. And I knew then I had to step up my self-love game. I had to get with the program of taking better care of me. And it took me a long time. It was not anything overnight. I worked hard. And a long time I started running. I made that. I trained for that half marathon. But I was still, I mean, my body was just like, thank you. Thank you, lady, because you're only 5'3" and you have no business carrying around 167 pounds of anything. That ain't even how you build. I mean, you can look at my wrist and tell how my bone structure. I had overdone it. And I was obese according to my doctors whenever I would go for my annuals. I was like, okay. And it was never about the pounds. It was about the way I felt in my clothes and the comfort level that I felt when I want to do things like run with my kids or play and do stuff. And that moment, it was like a whole brand new wave of self-love that had to come in, because it's different. When you're married and you get divorced, it's so different than when you're dating, even in a long-term relationship, and you break up. It's a whole different level of so many things going on in your mind that if you're not careful, you will find yourself down this rabbit's hole of wallowing in that space or wallowing in that moment longer than you should. And so I know it was probably about 1.5 years, and I managed to knock down maybe 28 pounds of just excess. But at the same time, I was also signed myself up for a divorce, like, I guess, counseling group or whatever, through the church that I was attending at the time. And so I did, that was a 6-week program. I put my kids in the kids version of it for 6 weeks because we had to start doing a whole bunch. It was self-love became the mantra for me for about 3 years, just to pull it together. But the weight that lifted off of me, not physical, not just the physical weight, the mental and the emotional and the spiritual. I had to, you know, spend some time with the Almighty because I was not one for understanding and dealing well with being alone. And that was a time where God was like, you know what, focus on me. You're not going to see anybody, and the people you thought you was going to talk to going to act a nut, and they're not going to be around for you to run to either. Spend some time with me, which I did, and more time. I spent more time because I was already spending time, but not when you're hurting and you are broken and you are, you know, feeling like everything has failed, or you just like, I never thought I would be in a place where everything fell apart, then there's nowhere to go but God. For me, that was the only place I could go. He made sure nobody bothered me while we were together. And so there was no distraction. There was no man showering me with flowers, even though I was divorced and all these folks, were out there who were probably waiting. They probably don't even know why they couldn't even send me flowers or say anything to me or slide in my DMs, because they weren't allowed to, because I had to spend that time loving me and loving God enough to allow him to heal me so that I could receive love and show love again. So many things. So many things were happening. I mean, it was a lot going on. But when you love yourself enough to be by yourself, to work on you and to get yourself together and to get your spirit together, then it hits different. Self-love hits different. Because it's not just that I started running and going to the gym. I started getting up early and having uninterrupted prayer time. And that, not that, after I put the kids to bed at night and I'm in there and I'm reading the Bible and, going on, oh, Jesus, put me to sleep. Jesus ain't trying to put you to sleep, girl. That's what I was telling myself. I ain't talking to y'all. I mean, that's what I was telling myself. Like, Lord ain't trying to, the Bible is not your lullaby. You need to get into this word and figure out what it is that you need to go through and work through to heal so you can be whole. And that's self-love. Self-love was working on my spiritual health, my emotional health, because I did go to a spiritual counselor. I did go to the church and do my, divorce program. I don't even remember the name of it, but I enjoyed it. And I learned from it. And then you work on your spirit, your mental, and your physical. That's the trifecta. And love yourself. Then when you are ready to come out and be like, whoo, thank you, Lord. I don't look like what I'm going through. I don't look like what I'm learning through. I don't look like what I'm growing through. Then your whole life and your perspective changes. And the men were still there. Not these same ones, because God didn't want me with them, no way. I mean, he had a whole new set of that, and I wouldn't be able to see that or see the value in what was there or the possibilities had I taken old broke down me into accepting or even trying to be in a relationship or even talk to someone. I had to take that time off from that whole aspect to get myself together. And it's the best investment, the best couple of years, the best boot camp workout. That it's the best that I could have done for me. And it is self-love. This past Christmas, I bought myself a diamond necklace. It was a little heart at, sales. I mean, because I'm not going out buying myself like real expensive diamonds, but it was like, I don't know, almost $200, and it was on sale for $29.99. It's this heart. It was so good. I bought two. I bought one for me and one for my mom. And I was like, I'm going to buy myself something for Christmas. That's self-love. And it's, a couple of weeks ago, I saw these boots that just spoke to me. They were silver and shiny. Just, I don't know where I'm going to wear them. I don't have any event to go to. I'm just going to wear them with some jeans and a sweater. I don't even care. I bought them. They were on sale. I got them. Because that's where self-love starts. It starts with recognizing who you are, loving who you are, taking care of yourself so that you are around, so that you can enjoy life, and then everything else comes. So that's what I want to just come in and talk to my people about in this living room, is about the value of self-love. Yeah, it's Valentine's weekend, and you may be with someone or you may not. This is for anybody, whether you are single or, you know, recently divorced or widowed, or you're in a relationship, self-love is the most important thing you can do for you. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You know, you don't have to have the lecture like my granny had to have with me and give me that $100 bill out of them stack of fans that she had in there. It is just, you know, but that was my first lesson. High school, I might have been 15, I think, at the time. But high school with my grandmother, that lesson has carried me from age 15. I'm 47. I'll be 48 in June. And it has stuck with me. No self-help books or anything like that. The words of a wise old woman, an old school granny who said, go get your hair done, go get your lipstick, polish your nails, get you a new outfit, and you walk in there with your head held high. And if he can't see it, somebody else will. It was true. You can take it to the bank all those years ago, and it's still true to this day. You take care of you and worry about you, and you don't have to wonder or try to, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. Because her thing was, you start taking care of yourself and fixing up and watch what happens. And that's true to this day, man. It's so true. Take care of yourself. And I've grown, so of course I've matured to the point where it's okay to be alone. It's okay not to have a boo. It's nice when you do have a boo. It's really nice when you do have a boo if you want one. But the most important thing, the most valuable thing that you can do for you and your boo is take care of you. Ooh, look at how that rhymed. Go on, Poetic Justice. That was my line name. I pledged, you know, Delta Sigma Theta. My line name, Poetic Justice. Yeah, that's the best thing for you can do for you and your boo is to take care of you. First, self-love first. Take care of your mental things. You got something going on, you're thinking about something, talk to somebody. Even if it's, you know, you don't want people to know, if you don't want your friends to know, find a way to get some counseling and sit down and invest in it. I did. I still have a counselor. Best thing I could have done for me. Emotionally, get your emotions together, get your mind together, get your mental capacity together, get your spirit life right. Man, ain't nothing I wouldn't be able to do. I could not do things without God constantly whispering to me, reminding me of who I am and who he called me to be. Look at this. She just talking, see me recording. And now she got to tell me how many calories I burn. But see, that's, again, investing in myself and in my health so I can be around a long time. So one day I can be a granny and tell my, you know, grandchildren, yeah, go get the church fans. Pull my money out. Take care of you. Put that $100 bill and say, go get yourself together. But that's it, y'all. Take care of your mind, your body, and your spiritual life. And love yourself first, best, and most. And if nobody has told you today how beautifully and wonderfully you're made and how you are here on purpose, and God has something bigger for you and better for you and more wonderful for you than you can ever imagine or ask for. Because everything that I didn't ask for, I had, and I'm knowing I needed it and didn't even know to ask for it. But God knew, and he has provided and said, you know what? Here, you don't even know you want this. Here, you don't even know you need this. And it came. But when you have a relationship with him, you'll be able to recognize when he's covering you and protecting you and keeping you. You love him first. You can absolutely love yourself because you know that you are created in his image. That's all, y'all. I could be preaching now. I could go into a sermon if I wanted to. I could just go on and preach about it. But it's mind, body, spirit. That's self-love. Get that together and watch it work. Watch it work for your good. And watch things change. And it won't be overnight. It's not Cinderella. But it will change. Because you are putting you first. All right, y'all, be good. Thank y'all for riding. Thank you for coming in the living room. As always, it's been fun chatting and just sharing and opening up. I don't even know how to even wrap it all up, because I'm just so excited to hear your comments and to, you know, engage with you about it. You know, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Or if you're not taking care of yourself, I hope this encourages you to start loving you first and see it through to the end, and you will be amazed. You will really be amazed. I love y'all, good people. Be good to yourselves, but most importantly, be good to each other. And I will see you in the living room when I see you.